This is the Village Church Kit. It comes with all of the pieces you see here. I'm going to be taking you through the assembly step by step. To assemble this kit, you will need a fast-drying liquid glue. These are some that I recommend. Beacon 3-in-1, Aleene's Quick Dry Tacky Glue, or even better, Aleene's Turbo Tacky Glue, which dries even faster. You will also want to have some sort of firm straight edge on hand to help you fold along the score lines. Some of the pieces in this kit are a little tricky to fold. There are some pieces that come to a point, so using a firm edge to fold against, I like to use this little Cricut scraper. It helps you get right down to the point without accidentally folding or bending a different part of the chipboard. Now let me introduce you to all of the different pieces included in this kit. We have 2 wall segments. This makes the main building of the church. This is the back, this is the front. This is the entryway that is going to be attached to the front of the church. And then we have 2 roof pieces. This is for the entry, this is for the main building. And then we have the bell tower and spire. This will fit on top. And we have a base. For the bell tower, we also have a bell with a small piece of wire so that this will hang inside the bell tower. Very cute. Included is this beautiful sheet of printed vellum. It comes with extra rose windows so that you can choose either the gold theme or the red theme. And they'll look like that. The door fits behind the entry, like so. And then these windows can be cut to fit the different openings, like that. And this is really lovely if you decide to put fairy lights inside. It will glow, and it's really beautiful. So to start, we will assemble these 2 pieces together to make the main church building. And here I've got my scraper to help me fold along the lines. I just line it up with the score lines and fold away from me. So to put these 2 pieces together, they will attach at both corners to make the building, like that. So I'm going to apply glue to the tabs. And to get the best bond, I stick these together, line them up, and I just hold them for about 20 to 30 seconds. If you wanted to, you could use clothespins or binder clips or something to clamp these together while they dry, but I usually just hold them. And then I'll just set that off to the side and start working on the entry piece. This piece folds up like a little box. And again, I'm going to hold that until the glue is set. And that's what that looks like. Now this is one of the more challenging pieces to fold, but I'll just go slowly, folding along these lines. These do not have to be perfectly folded down to the point. This will become kind of part of the roof line. It's more the top of the corners that I'm trying to get squared off. Okay, so now I am ready to assemble that into the tower, and it will look like this. And after holding this for a minute or two, I'm going to set this off to the side. We will come back to this to secure this tab on the top for the bell. And while those pieces are drying, I'm going to assemble the spire for the bell tower. And again, this is a piece that you really do want to use your straight edge to help you get the lines folded. I'm just taking my time with this, and gradually these corners become sharp. And I think that will just about do it. You can fold it up to see how you're doing. I just want to press in this little seam here. There. And it will look like that when it's glued. And this is another piece that I'm just going to hold on to for a couple minutes until that seam holds. And I'm going to let all 4 of these pieces dry completely before I start putting things together. So now let's continue working on the bell tower. And this has a little tab that I'm just going to fold, and it gets glued to the inside of the tower like this. So I'll just add a little glue to the tab. And I'll kind of reach inside just to hold it down until the glue sets. And then what we're going to do is take the bell on the wire and wrap it around this piece on the top, and we'll just dangle it inside so that you can see it through the little windows. So I've just twisted the wire a little bit, and I'll feed it through the tower. 1/2 on either side. And from where I'm sitting, I can see where the bell is hanging. I just want it visible through the windows. Then I'll just twist it to secure it. Okay, and I'm just going to cut off the extra wire. Adorable. And so now I can put the spire on top of the tower. And so to do that, I'm going to put glue all around the top of the tower. Like that. And when I'm lining up these 2 pieces, I'm putting the seams at the back. And it just goes on like a little hat. Make sure that's on there straight, and then just set it off to the side to dry. And now while the bell tower is drying, I will attach the entry to the church building, and how that works is I'll be putting glue on the back of the entry and then lining up these 2 rectangles. And that will make sure that everything is where it needs to be, like so. And I'll make sure I've got glue running all the way to the edge of this piece. I want this to be well stuck down. And now lining it up, I can see through the bottom of the church where the rectangle is. Lining up the lower edges and making sure it's straight. You can see there. And then I'm just going to reach inside and start pressing it down. And I will hold this until the glue is set. Okay, and again, I'm going to let this glue dry fully before moving on to the next step. Next up, we're going to attach the main church roof. So I'm going to fold that down the middle. And then the church has tabs on either end, as well as the back and this little piece on the front. We'll put glue on all of those. And then to get this on there centered, I'm going to lay it onto the back of the panel first so that I can center it left and right. Looking at the overhang on either end. And when I have that centered, I'll fold down the front. And you can see that the front kind of hooks over the entry. And I will press that down for a moment and then reach inside and start pushing those tabs against the roof panel. And I'll spend a few moments just making sure I have multiple points of contact in there so that the roof is secured. And looking inside there, you can see all those tabs are against the roof panel. So next up is the entry roof. And this has a couple small tabs on the back. So that these tabs will stick against the main roof panel. So for this piece, we need to put glue on both of these tabs, and I like to extend the glue along this back edge as well. And now I'm setting the roof down over the peak of the entry, as well as pushing it against the main roof panel. And as I get this situated, I'm lining up the lower edges of both roof panels. And then it's time to attach the bell tower. Just giving that a little press. You can see how the back looks here. And after this glue dries, I will be ready to paint the church. I do recommend painting it before applying the windows. That way you're not going to get paint on the windows. And after the paint and windows are done, then we'll put on the base. This will be the last part. Now you can paint your church any color you like. I'm going for classic white, so I'm using this acrylic gesso. I'll be putting on 2 to 3 thin coats of paint, and then I'm going to add a little bit of clear German glass glitter. I'm going to speed this part up. Now this is what it looks like with 2 coats of paint, and I'm getting ready to put my final coat of paint on. And what I'm going to do is mix a little bit of white glue into my white paint. And then after I put that last coat on, I'm going to shake on a delicate layer of this fine grain clear glass glitter, and that will just give it a really nice subtle shimmer without being too much texture. And so I've got a dish here for collecting the excess. So I'm just going to mix some glue into my paint. That should do it. And I'm going to work in sections. I will paint a whole panel, then glitter that panel, and then move on to the next piece. That way I don't have stops and starts along the way here. So I think just for ease, I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. Here, I'll zoom in so you can try and see that glitter sparkling. This will look really pretty. I think as this gets a little more difficult to handle, I will glitter the sides and the back and then let it dry so I have something to hold on to do the front. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and I'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, now that I can handle this, I will get this last bit glittered. Okay, now after this dries, I'll be ready to put in the windows. Now I'm going to cut this sheet apart so that it fits all of the different openings. And I think I'm going to use the gold rose windows. So let's start with that. Now these are printed with a little extra space around them for mounting inside. So I'm just cutting around the outer ring of each of these. This will be on the inside, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, there are my 3 rose windows. I'm just going to cut this out. So the door is just going to fit in like so. And then I'm going to cut these windows to fit. We've got 2 on either side and 3 here, and I'll just be cutting those as a whole block. Looks like about to there. Make sure that will fit in here. That's perfect. I think that might be about right. Okay, and then I'll do the same for the other end. Okay, good. Here are all of the windows. Now, how I'm going to apply these is I'm going to take a little undiluted glue and use my brush to apply glue to the inside walls. There's quite a bit of surface area here that you can use. So this is just tacky glue that I'm using to apply these. And I think I'll start with all the rose windows since they're the highest ones. So just reaching in with my brush and applying glue all the way around that circle. And I'm going to look at this from the front so I can see where this is landing. Now the final task will be to attach the church to the base and then decorate the base the same way with the paint and the glitter so that it all looks like one piece. And if your paint has made your walls bow out, as it sometimes does, you'll just press the walls in as you're sticking it down to the base. Sometimes the acrylic paints can cause the chipboard to bloat a little, but that can be fixed just by holding it like so as you're attaching it. So I'll be gluing all of the lower edges. And here I'm just going to push in those walls so that they're square and center it on the base. And I'll just hang out here for a moment until that glue holds. And now to finish, I have some paint and I'm just going to paint and glitter the base so that it matches the church.